not. And I, in a sense, kind of grew to a point where I felt that I didn't need her anymore. And so one day on her one-day-a-week trip back home, I surprised her with the statement that, maybe we just need to get a divorce. You're unhappy, I'm unhappy. We seem to be arguing a lot when we are together, and just maybe we need to get a divorce. And so she agreed, and our next decision was to go visit with our parish priest. And I feel sorry for you guys, because a lot of times, we come to you in that moment of crisis and expecting you to kind of create some kind of miracle, if you will. But he asked the question if we wanted this relationship to work. Of course, we said no, which in turn he sent us to a Catholic Christian counselor who basically gave us a $100 history lesson as to how our relationship was like the Civil War. And maybe you guys were just not really meant to be together. And despite the fact that we left there, Father, thinking that we heard what we wanted to hear, we still continued to kind of coexist in the home. And about a couple of months later, we had a visiting priest that came to our parish. And this priest was very much a teacher of the faith. There was just something, this aura about him, that just initially attracted Julie and myself. Mm-hmm. And so we began staying in between masses, introducing ourselves and really getting to know him. And we later found out that he was the tribunal vicar for the diocese. Now, if we didn't know anything else about our faith at this time, we knew that this was the guy that did the annulment thing, and how this gracious God was sending us someone, right? Sending us someone to show us how to get out of our marriage relationship. So then, the couple of days later, Julie made an appointment to go visit with him.
When I called him, he thought we were coming in for just a visit, a casual visit. And as we shocked him, I guess, we came in for a 45 dissertation as to why we couldn't stay married, and to have him help us get out of it. It was, he did this to me, she did this to me, and we had this, we built up our case as to why we didn't want to stay married. And he sat back and patiently listened, and when we were finished with this whole explanation, he just started to ask us some questions. He said, I understand your plight and your situation, and I know there's been a lot of hurt and pain caused in this marriage. But let me ask you some questions. What's God's plan for marriage? What does our church teach about the marriage covenant? And what are some of the writings of St. Paul and the various Holy Fathers dealing with marriage? We looked at each other and shrugged our shoulders and said, we don't know, Father, what does this have to do with us? We were once in love, we got married, and now we're just trying to find a way out of it. And we're hoping you could help us in that area. And he said, before you come to any other conclusion on this or decision, I'd ask that you study and find out more about what the church teaches.
So like most Catholics, Father, not only did I have to go home and find the Bible first, but I had to dust it off, of course, before I could read. But, every year we used to always hear that homily in Ephesians, St. Paul in Ephesians. So I thought, well, quite naturally, I'll go to Ephesians. And so I go to Ephesians 5, and I'm reading. It says, wives, be submissive to your husbands. And I remember thinking to myself, well, here's the problem in our relationship. I have this Miss Workout Queen over here and this person who wants to work and make all this money. Here's the problem. She's listening to work and job and other people and not to me. And so by this time, of course, thinking that this Bible stuff is some pretty cool stuff, I decided to go back to it and see if I can kind of find some more ammunition to hit her with when she came home. And but the next few lines that I began to read said, but husbands, love your wives as Christ loved the church. And I remember thinking to myself, wow, like Christ loved the church. And Christ died for the church. Am I dying to myself for some of the things that Julie wants in this relationship? And unfortunately, the answer was no. But for the first time, I really began to see how some of my own selfishness was contributing to the breakup and the breakdown of our marriage relationship. And so continued to read, went to the Catechism of the Catholic Church to see, well, what does this church have to say about marriage that I don't already know?